welcome to this second week of the Customer Hub sessions. Okay, this time we're going to speak about enablement of Viva connections. Okay, and just to have a little bit of context, this is a timeline we have. The first week was last week. We are right now on the second week, so happy Valentine to everyone. Um, and we are going, as I was saying, oh, I love this, the hearts. And we're going to speak a little bit about the enablement and the steps in order to have available and deploy the Viva Connections app within the Viva suite. Okay. So, sorry for this one. My name is Hans Baumans. As you can see, I am a cloud solution architect specialized in Viva. Okay, and we also may have, I don't know if Fernando is already there. And Heather, I'm sorry, I just forget to put yourself on the other slide, which is this one. Okay, but I think you're going to be with me. I'm sorry, yeah, I don't know. No, I can't. I can hide this one. No. Okay. Okay, sorry for that. So to speak a little bit about why we are here, let's give you a little bit of context around what the Microsoft vision, as you can see, is to empower every person in the world and every organization on the planet to achieve more, right? That's the vision that we have in Microsoft. And in order to achieve that, on the technical side, we're trying to accelerate technical journey, okay, via different approaches like customer engagements and a blocking and strategic alignment, okay? So in our business unit, the customer success unit, okay, we're trying to accelerate the value by creating the best modern work experiences for customers, you, okay? And this is where these sessions fit, okay? The customer hub to bring like a, not necessarily directly a side to side, but a cohort, okay, of customers together, you, okay, and hear out for us, for Microsoft experts, and how to nurture employees' engagements, connections, personal expressions, and to enable essentially the employee experience. Okay, that's the idea of the session, and this is the context that we are into. Okay, so you can understand why we do this. Okay, so the objective that we have in the next 4 weeks, starting last week, okay, is like through a direct engagement between you and us, okay, you as customers and us as Microsoft, to accelerate the journey, okay. The idea is to empower you to learn and to understand a little bit more about, in this case, in this specific session, about enablement of Viva connections. Okay, so if we speak a little bit about the journey, we started by learning, right? If I don't know about anything, then I'm not going to be able to use it, right? Once you learn about it, then you're going to be able to plan. Then you can try, or recommendation is to have a POC, a proof of concept. Then you build, you learn from your experiences, you build and develop, and finally you adopt. Okay. So if we speak about this journey and how can we help you on each one of those steps, okay? This is not intended to explain everything around each one of the steps, okay? But at least it's going to give you a brief idea of we can help you different ways in different stages of the journey. For example, right now, we are helping you in the learning process by teaching you about the enablement of Viva Connections. That's the customer hub here, okay? So you can understand the value about Viva Connections, a little bit about Viva Engage, etc., etc. Okay. If you, for example, need to learn anything extra, or you feel like you need more information on that, okay, we have different type of engagements, deliveries that we can help you with. Okay. So the most important thing of this is this last, okay, message that you have at the bottom. Okay. You don't have to remember any of this. That's why you have a CSMs for you. Okay, leverage them, rely on them. They're going to help you with this journey, and they're going to redirect you to the right person, to the right people, or maybe to the right resource directly. Okay, even if, for example, you are blocking a deployment during the deployment or during the adoption. Okay, we are here to help you. And to the next one. Okay, so enabling Viva connections. So to give you a little bit of a context, okay, the Viva, what we call the employee experience. And what do we speak about experience, right? Because in the past, I remember myself when I'm speaking about SharePoint 10 years ago, we're speaking about tools, collaborative tools, or an intranet, or a website, or an application. Okay. Now we speak more about experiences. For example, imagine yourself, you are in a Teams group in a specific channel and you are reading or writing a message or reading a chat or conversation. And then in the you see in the text, you see a project, for example, or the word unicorn, which is kind of weird, right? But you see the unicorn word highlighted. The same way, for example, Word highlights your grammatical or orthographic errors. And obviously your curiosity, you put your pointer, your mouse, hover over the word, and then pop-ups, what we call the topic cards, which is going to describe, oh, unicorn reference actually um, a project. Oh, and the project is about this, this, and that. And this is the people related to this project, and some documents are related to it. I can also click on it. That's an experience. Okay, something to help you, something that you can experience yourself, or the email that comes, for example, every day or every week, speaking about the actionable things that you can do based on your communications, the emails you sent, or the message you have received from someone like, I'm going to check into it. Did you do that, for example? Those are experiences, and that's the kind of surrounding things that we have in employee experience. And then we cover different areas, okay? Connections, the insights, purpose, and growth. And for each one of those areas, we have different apps, okay? And now, at least, we are going okay, to go to the very first one of them, which is the Viva Connections, or lately we're going to call them Home as well, okay? Which is like the first page, or like the gateway to open you to the whole tools that we have in Microsoft Viva. So when we speak about the home, okay, this is the new experience that you are going to have. Some of you may have already it, depending on your setup of your tenants. Some of you may receive this in the following weeks. I think in 4 weeks from now, I think that everyone might be already having this experience. And you can see that we have mostly 5 things, okay, which is the header, the feed, which is basically information stories that can take from Engage, from SharePoint News. Okay, then we have resources, which is like a menu or a global menu. If we have someone here who is an expert in SharePoint, they may know about the menus and navigations capabilities. And here is this part. This one is about the sites, okay, that you have been using lately, for example, or the one that you already bookmarked. So you can have more or less the information at the tip of your hands in this home experience. But also, and saving the best for last in this case, we have a dashboard. Okay. Do not confuse dashboard name with this this business intelligence concept of the dashboard copied with the information that you have for you to, like a report. Okay, that's not the idea. The dashboard is this one, is a group of cards, and the most important thing, okay, is that the idea of the cards is to give you a very quick capability of integration with your line of business applications. For example, okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay, so we have the header, as I was saying, before going to the dashboard directly. Okay, so we have in the header, we also have the links to all the apps that you have available based on your licensing and your tenant. Okay, like Sales, Insights, Amplify, etc. And here's the dashboard I was trying to explain to you. I'm going to show a little bit of it later, after in 15 minutes more or less. Okay, so I can try to demo you a little bit of what is the capabilities of the dashboard. Okay, but for example, I can have, for example, I want to book focus time in the next week because I need to concentrate in some specific project I need to work with, and I don't want any kind of interruption. So I can do it directly from the dashboard. Okay, I can click on here and I have the options to book the time. Or I want to, I have 3, for example, learning courses that's overdue in the upcoming weeks, so I can open and check them. Okay, so it's like a central place, and this is very important as well. Okay, because this is the magic that from someone who comes from the experience of deploying intranets. One of the things we tried to do a lot was to help and integrate the applications in a way that the experience can be seamless, depending on the even without the need of the device. If I am using a mobile, I want to have an equivalent experience as if I'm going, for example, in the in my desktop, and upcoming, not right now, but upcoming, okay, soon enough, also from the tablet experiences. Okay. So Heather, I closed the poll in my screen. Did I close the poll for the rest of them?
Nope, just for you. Sorry. Unfortunately, okay, I don't know of a way to suppress the poll for the presenter. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Not an issue. Just wanted to be sure that I didn't remove the poll for the rest of the people. Excellent. So stories, okay? It's about the content as well, okay? If you want to transmit information from your company to the rest of the company, it's a little bit related to what we called before the internet, right? But it's not the same. It's not the same experience. It has completely evolved into Microsoft Viva, which is now something surrounding the employee, the individual, okay? And finally, as I was explaining before, okay, the navigation options where you can put links to relevant information on even relevant tools. So what will be the difference right now, for example, between this navigation and the dashboard? The dashboard is an interactive experience. You can, for example, ask for request, for example, a vacation, for example, directly within the dashboard. Something specific cases, kind of easy cases, small business cases can be solved directly within the context of the dashboard. In this case, if we need something more complex, then we can just, relate here and put the links here so people can just go and check that information. And as well, as I was saying before, they use the most common sites that you have been using or the ones that you have bookmarked already. Okay, so this is like the home experience that we have. Okay, it's going to replace the current one that you have, or maybe you know already. Okay, which is I would call like the classic experience. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about what do we need. Okay, what do I need if I want to enable Viva Connections or this home experience in my tenant? Okay, so first of all, let's think a little bit about a traditional newspaper. Okay, before having the newspaper, I will need to set up the printed press, right? So, and that means Viva Connections. I need to deploy Viva Connections in order to have this machinery working, okay? But it's not just that. It's not like I'm turning on like a switch and oh, by magic, everything like a magic wand, whoosh, and I have everything, right? I need something else. I need people who create the content, okay? And not just create the content, because one of the things I have experienced a lot in my intranet area when I was a consultant was, okay, everyone was so excited. Let's go to create this amazing intranet. I'm going to put these pictures and this news, all this information, so amazing. But that only works during the kickoff and the upcoming 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe. What do you need? You need to continue create content, okay, to share with your employees. Okay, that's very important. Okay, it's not just about having the kickoff, but keeping the flow, keeping the content, keeping the information flowing, and keep them updated. Okay, and engaged as well. Okay, that's one of the most important things, and sometimes people do not think too much about that when they deploy. So going back now into the specific steps, okay, into the Viva Connection enablement, okay, it's like first, and I'm going to go a little bit technical now, is first I need to prepare the home site and the global navigation design. Okay, so the home site is a SharePoint online concept, which is a designated site collection, again, designated as the home site right now for my tenant. In the future, we'll have multiple ones, but for now, we only have one per tenant. Okay. Second, okay, if you already have something and you want to designate that something, that SharePoint site, as the home site, you need to modernize it. Okay, so there's a process that may be required in your cases, but fear not. You do not need to modernize everything in your tenant to use Viva Connections. You can just create a communication site. I'm going to do that for you later. Okay, you can create it, and then you can expand, leverage the navigation options, and then redirect people to the rest of the content. Okay, and also you have to consider whether you will need or not multilingual experiences also. Let's continue. Okay, so once you create a home site, then obviously you have to designate that place as a home site in your intranet. Okay, it's very easy. You're going to see it. It's very, very easy. What I fear is that I'm going to show you the steps, but because of the whole process lasts a lot of hours, okay, I'm going to show first like the steps, and then I'm going to show you directly with another 10 and a half with a final um, outcome. Okay, so once I have the home site here, okay, then I have to enable the SharePoint app bar, okay, to allow them to have these resources at hand, okay, and then create the dashboard. You need to create a dashboard and add the cards, which the cards are the elements within the dashboard that are going to represent the connections between different line of business applications that you may have. You can use the one that we have already out of the box. You can buy them from third-party providers, or you can create custom ones if you want to. Okay, all of them are supported again as part of the features of the dashboard. Okay, then once you have like the skeleton, then you will need obviously the muscles, right? The flesh. And the flesh is the SharePoint news, the content. You need to create the content within SharePoint. You can create your hub interconnections between them, so you can have like different teams creating content from different places without overlapping each other, etc. Optionally, you can deploy Viva Engage, which is going to enhance a little bit the feed because it's going to consolidate information both from SharePoint News and also from Viva Engage. Okay. And then once you have all this information, then you enable the Viva Connections app in the Teams Admin Center. Okay. One important thing about Microsoft Viva is that it uses Teams as a platform, which means that there are some experiences that are a little bit outside the scope of Teams, like for example, the email that I receive, or for example, the text that is highlighted in a SharePoint page. But mainly, Microsoft Viva is a group of apps within Teams, which means that if you want to use Microsoft Viva, you need Teams for sure. And obviously, you will need to enable, in this case, okay, the Viva Connections app, or you need to pin, for example, the app directly to the users. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's quite easy. Obviously, I do it very easily myself. Okay. And then, okay, finally, you can choose also the settings for your mobile Viva Connections app. Okay. Because when you are using Teams from your mobile, okay, you can also add the app, the Viva Connections app, and you are going to see 3 different tabs. Okay, one for the dashboard, the second is going to be the feed, and the third one is the resources, which I was speaking about, the global navigation. Okay, so this is from a personal point of view, one of the most important things, because this is exactly what I was looking for back in the day, deploying intranets. I wanted 2 things: integration with every kind of application I can think about, with a little bit of minimum effort possible. Okay, at the same time, and the most important thing is to have a perfect experience, both from a mobile and the desktop. Okay, and that's the dashboard for you, because it uses, I don't want to get too deep technical here, but it uses a platform, a framework, and it's also which the adapted card extensions, and it's also used by Xbox, Windows, and now also for SharePoint. Okay, once you have this, then you will need some kind of communication. You let your users to know how to access and use Viva Connections. Okay, you leverage your communication skills within your company for them then to realize and exploit all they can do around Viva Connections. And finally, Once you have everything working on, then you have the insights and analysis capabilities in the admin center, so you can ensure that your adoption is going the way you were expecting. Okay, if there is a group of people connecting, or it has, for example, in this case, looks like a total disaster because it started very nice and then whoosh, no one is connecting. Okay, just an example. So this we have the previous experience. Okay, and I'm going to show you it. Okay, after the slides, which is I only have like 2 or 3 more. Okay, I'm going to show you the different experiences that we have in Viva Connections. Okay, the original one, okay, which is just what we call, okay, attention here, the home page of the home site in the Viva Connections app. Okay, that is the main experience, the original experience that when we launched Viva Connections. Okay, which is very very similar to the one in SharePoint. The big difference is embedded and integrated within Teams. And then we have the Viva Home. This is the experience I have been explaining. And there is a big difference between the two. One of them is more focused on the content. The other is focused on the dashboard. Okay. But I don't want you to remember all of this because you are going to have this deck available for you, and you can have the differences afterwards. Okay. So finally, resources to help you to understand a little bit more of what I have just. Obviously, I've just given you like the teaser trailer of a movie, right? So, but there's a lot of things that you have to understand as well. And so you have the overview, the landing experience on the Viva Connection desktop, and the original post of Viva Connections from last October. Okay, and this is one of the most important things for me is the adoption. Okay, content and documentation for you. Okay, what kind of things that you have to think about. Also, for example, what kind of team you have to join or to build in order to deploy, for example, Viva Connections or Viva Learning or any of the Viva apps, right? And also how I'm going to help you with examples about which kind of business cases I'm trying to solve, how I'm going to measure them, how to define these KPIs. So it's going to be the full whole adoption plan. Okay, the POC. What do we have to consider? How many people should we, use in the pilot? Maybe it depends obviously on your company, but these kind of guidelines are all of them. Okay, here mentioned. And finally, the end user training content for Viva Connections. Okay, because we're speaking right now only for the deployment, which means we're speaking to the admins. And what about the end users? Here you have also the content for that, and also the learning pathways, okay, in Microsoft 365. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my screen. Okay, give me just 1 second. Yeah, half an hour, that's good enough. Okay, here. And I have this one. Okay. Obviously, I'm using the web browser experience here because if not, I should have to disconnect from the meeting, right? And I will be able to speak. So, as I was saying, okay, Microsoft Viva, let's say that it lives here in Teams in the rail. So if I click on the Viva Connections app, which I did, and hopefully the demo effect doesn't chase me today.
We all know that if you're presenting your screen in front of a group of strangers, it will take forever to load. That's just the way it works.
Now, nothing better than just, reset the whole thing. So
at least it's browser and not blue screen of death. It's all good.
So here is this is a very basic one. Okay, as you can see, for example, I don't see all the apps in here because this is a demo tenant. I don't have all the things sorted up, so I don't see all the options. Okay, but what I can see, for example, is a dashboard. Okay, and And this is the home experience. And when I scroll down, I have the resources, the links I can click on them. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to lose focus and I don't want to last another 5 minutes to load again the home experience. Okay, but also I have here the feed. Okay, so one thing I haven't mentioned, okay, is that one thing you can do in the dashboard when you design and define the dashboard is that you can hide and show some of the cards based on your role, okay, and you can target some of the cards to specific audiences because sometimes not everything actually works for everyone. So you can tailor a little bit with some limitations, like to up to 50 different instances of hiding and showing, okay, where you can customize a little bit and tailor the whole experience. Also, okay, each one of the cards, for example, as you can see, okay, is tailored exactly for me. It takes my information, my security context, and filters the information based on myself. For example, in this case, I have 11 days remaining of time off, for example, which in Spain will be outrageous. We have like 20 or 30, something like that. It's crazy. Anyway, so what if, for example, I want to ask for more time off? So I can click here. It's going to show what we call the quick view. And the benefit and one of the prettiest things about the quick view here is I have more information, more detailed information, and interaction experience between the dashboard and the user. And I can ask, okay, for another day. I'm going to submit, and then I have it solved directly within the dashboard. Okay. And remember, the experience also in the mobile is equivalent. So that means that I don't have to open my laptop anymore to ask for vacations. I can just go directly to my mobile, open the Viva app, and then request. There are some other experiences, sorry, that I can have. For example, I want to see the next holidays I have, etc. Okay, so if we go to the original experience, if we click here, okay, then you can see a big difference, right? In the middle, now you have content. Okay, information, not necessarily news here, but here you have the company feed, like information, actions, activity relevant to you. Okay, and here the company news and events, especially the news, okay, are going to be curated for you from the internal artificial intelligence that Viva Connections Engines has. Okay, so it's going to choose the relevant news based on your specific work. For example, if you're an engineer or you are a business or financial, it's going to try to check the information published across the intranet or across your tenant, okay, and try to surface relevant to you. Okay, so it's not that just the structure might be the same, but the content and the information showing to the specific user is going to be tailored as much as possible for them. And then we have, as you can see, the dashboard. Okay, and then you have also more information. So if someone is asking right now, how do I get back there? Actually, we're with Heather having some fun on this one. Here is the place. You can click here, and then you go back to the home experience that we have. Okay. So another thing is the navigation. Okay. One thing is I have this navigation, which is the same content up to here that we have in the home experience. Okay. And then you can have also, and now it's not showing right now. Lovely. Okay, let me try to reload it again. And go to the landing. And here we have also another navigation options, which is not exactly necessarily the same as here. Okay. So I have a couple of minutes. Yeah, I have enough time. Okay, so technically speaking, what do I need to deploy all of this? I'm going to fake a little bit because in this tenant, first of all, you will need to be at least SharePoint Online administrator and Teams administrator, okay, in order to deploy Viva Connections. The very first thing you need if you want to deploy, okay, is, as I was saying, you need to create a home site. Okay, so let's imagine. Okay, because problem is, sorry, it's not there. We need to go first to SharePoint. Okay. No thanks. Thank you, but no thank you. And let's imagine this doesn't exist. Okay. And then I'm going to create. First of all, when I create a site collection, it needs to be a communication site. Okay, that's a very important prerequisite. Okay, and let's create. Yeah, I had another home because I present this morning for the European session. Okay, so sorry, I couldn't actually delete it. And then I put myself in this case. Okay, and then I have this site collection. Okay, I create the site, and now I have the content. Okay. Once you have it, you define this site collection as the home site. So you go here, you go to settings. On the settings, you have the home site option. And then I'm going to remove this one. Okay. And then I'm going to put mine. Okay. After a little while, I don't know if it's going to work directly. Maybe not. Okay. Once you have your site designated as a home site, you should see, okay, great. This option, manage Viva connections. That is going to appear once you have it designated and has been correctly designated. Okay, so the second thing that you have to do is to create a dashboard. It may break right now, at least. Oh, it didn't. Nice. And I have, for example, in this case, I have the mobile experience and then I have the desktop one. It's just a preview to the sign. And then I'm going to add some cards, okay? I don't want to get right now into much detail here. I'm going to add some cards that I have already, approvals, or I want to shifts, for example, I have them. And let's go into assign the task, top news, okay, anything. So I have my dashboard, okay, top news is quite repeated, and I want to use the price one. I'm going to publish the dashboard. Okay, so right now my dashboard has only 4 elements. Okay, and I need to add the dashboard in the homepage. So for people who know already about SharePoint, you may know how to edit. I'm going to edit. I'm going to a very ugly, okay, but I just want to demonstrate a little bit. So I'm going to put another column here, and I'm going to move this part here, and I'm going to add a new web part, which is going to be available because I have this designated again as a home site. So now I can add the dashboard, which is another web part. Now I have it, okay, and I'm going to republish it, okay. The optional part, but also a really recommended one, is to, once I have the dashboard, so I have, like, let's say more or less what I want to show in the Viva connections in the real experience, okay. If I go to, sorry, that's not here. I have to go to the global navigation. I need to be sure I have enabled the global navigation, okay. And then I can edit this global navigation and add links, or I can add labels, which will be like the grouping of some links, okay, in here. This navigation I am playing with right now is the one that is going to be shown. No, it's going to be shown here. Let me show you. So when I click on Viva Connections, okay. One thing about this tenant, for example, it doesn't have implemented the home experience, okay? But is this part, okay, or the part that is being shown in the Viva Home here, this navigation, okay? This navigation is the one that I am editing here, okay? So I'm gonna cancel everything right now. And this is all I need to do on the SharePoint side, okay? If you have different teams, then this is where the people in the SharePoint stops. Obviously, the content comes in a parallel way, but then let's go to the teams, okay? So by default, okay, the Viva Connections app is blocked. So you need to search for it, okay? Oh, now remember. I was playing because this morning a customer said to me that, hey Hans, I couldn't find the app in my tenant. And I said to them, maybe it's because, first of all, you need to ensure that it's allowed, okay? Here it shows like allowed, because by default, it's going to appear as blocked by the publisher, okay? You need to click here to allow, and it's going to be available for the end users. That's the first thing. Second, as I was saying, you can customize. You don't need to call it Viva Connections. For example, I call it the landing, okay? That might be the reason, for example, maybe, hopefully not any of you, might have the same issue, okay? That you cannot find the app because the app has been renamed. You can even actually change the color or the icon. So visually speaking, you may not see it exactly the way. Maybe someone else already changed it for you, okay? So just be careful about that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Up to here, technically speaking, anyone can go and jump into Viva Connections, okay? But by default, no one is going to notice it because unless they go to Teams, they go to apps, search, for example, for build my Microsoft, and can search. I don't know if I have it around. To dismiss, filter. Okay, you're learning. Well, doesn't matter right now. I don't want to spend that much time right now, but they can find it here, okay? Oh, it's here. And then can open, okay? Or add and pin into their rail, okay? That can be done by the users, okay? So, but what if, for example, you know and you trust that no one is actually going to see it, or no one is going to actively search for the app by themselves? Then you will want them to see it, right? So to give that, then you go and you have a set up policies, and there's two options that you can do, okay? You can go all in, which obviously is not a recommended approach, and go all in and add to the pin apps in your organization-wide, okay? Or the recommended is to create, okay, a new policy only, okay, for the designated people that you want to include in your pilot. And here is where you're going to search for the app, okay, that you want to add, and it's going to be available for the people, okay? So just a quick reminder, if you see a warning here, it's because the app is not allowed, okay? You haven't allowed the application. So you add it, and this is the part where it's going to last some time until it appears to the rest of the users, okay?
Yeah, and Hans, if I may interject, so one of the, as we saw with the changes with Viva Home, one of the benefits is that whereas currently customers have to pin like Viva Insights, Viva Learning, the different Viva apps to the left navigation or the left rail in Teams, the nice thing is if we pin Viva Connections only with the new Viva Home experience, then they have one-click access to any of the other Viva apps. So it really makes that limited real estate, that space on your left rail. So we're just taking one slot for one app instead of multiples for Viva. So for customers that are using the Viva suite in its entirety or different Viva apps, this should be a big improvement because they only have one PIN, one app.
Absolutely. So actually, that's all I wanted to show. We have still 50 minutes exactly for Q&A. So please shoot.
So I have been covering the questions in the chat for the most part. Let me go see if there's anything I missed. So I just want to touch on a couple of points. I guess we should come back on camera, sorry. So a couple of points. So I think we talked a little about it last week when I did kind of the overview, but when we talk about an effective dashboard, so I did post a link directly to that adoption recommended practices. So like that's honestly, we probably talk about it too much, but it's really the best thing you can do to make this a valuable application for your employees. Like putting thought into what goes into those dashboard cards, like what kind of tasks can they complete? What kind of information can you provide to them on the dashboard is going to be what brings them back. So we don't talk about like monthly users, we talk about weekly users because they're going to come back here if you're solving problems for them, if you're making it easier for them to find out information, to complete their tasks. Like that's what keeps customers and our customers, but your employees coming back. And so our Viva Connections engineering team has looked at a lot of the different data points that we have around what we call sticky usage, but that just means that people are coming back on a regular basis, so daily or weekly. And that's the top ones tend to be either third-party apps. So like a popular one might be like ServiceNow. Like, so when you have a problem, you just push a button. You don't have to go find a website or an application link somewhere. That's just one example. And then also it's a little bit more work, but building a dashboard card for like your custom line of business applications that are unique to your organization. So those are the things that we see that really make the most impact, because your employees are probably going to get content. They're going to get content here, but they're going to get content through other ways. They might be using the Viva Engage or Yammer app. They might be getting emails. They might have SharePoint sites, Teams. Like they're probably getting communication and information from a variety of sources. So it's unlikely they're going to just come here for like the one-stop access to that. But what this is one-stop access for is the things that you tailor for them. So like, it's super important if you don't know, like to kind of understand like where are their pain points, what kind of things do they complain about, what are they saying they would like to see. Like if you can do that for like your key personas, so like kind of addressing, generally we have knowledge workers, we have frontline workers, we have executives, and like you can get into much more detail, but just picking a few of those and saying, okay, what can we deliver like a couple for each of these personas? Like it'll make a significant difference in the value that they get out of this. And anyway, that's my TED talk on the importance of the dashboard cards. I'll stop there. The adoption recommended practices covers this. It also has examples, so just like things that'll give you some inspiration for what types of things might be appropriate for your employees. And I see we have new messages. So you can absolutely still pin the app separately. So if you want to just pin Viva Connections, you can do that and let people access the other Viva apps that way. But if you want to pin them separately, each of them is still its own unique Teams app. So you can keep those as well. Totally up to you. So we have a licensing question. All right. This is why I work on the customer success side, but we'll answer the licensing question anyway. I used to work on the sales side of Microsoft a long time ago. So currently, and actually this changed yesterday, but most of the functionality, everything we've shown you here for Viva Connections is included in your M365 license. So that's covered. You have a E3, E5, et cetera. So like you're completely covered on the core Viva Connections functionality. So I guess I'll make sure that next week we cover the changes for Viva Engage. If you missed our announcement, I'll post the link here. But we did go what we call GA, or general availability, meaning it's rolling out to enterprise tenants at the moment. So we have our new premium features for Viva Engage that rolled out yesterday. And I believe we have the answers in Viva, Leadership Corner, and there's something else I'm missing, but I'll share the blog post to update. So that is part of Viva Engage Premium. So we're now dealing with, on the Viva Engage side, we're dealing with kind of a mixed licensing situation. Some of the functionality, everything you've been using in Yammer or Viva Engage to date is included in your M365 license. But the new features that we announced yesterday, those are now generally available, but they are part of the premium license. So keep your questions. If there's any more questions after you read the blog post, please bring them next week or the next 2 weeks. And I think those are those 2 questions. What other questions do we have? And thank you for bringing up the adoption site. Like that, honestly, that's our go-to recommended site. Join the superheroes community. You should get access by the end of this week. I raised it to our internal team. And also the other thing is anybody is welcome to join the Modern Work Superheroes community. It's not limited to Customer Hub participants. So if you have colleagues that you think would find value, please feel free to share that request link with them as well. So Hans, it looks like there's a question from Craig on groups and access.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, two to one. Yes, Craig, please.
If you can get it, if you can understand it, go ahead and respond.
Cross-multiple groups to control the access. There's only one level. Okay. Because when you create the policy, and the policy you assign the users that you want to be affected by that policy. Okay, so yeah, maybe you will think that what if I do make 2 policies, but it's going to have the same effect, right? Those 2 groups of people are going to see the Viva Connections app, so it's like it's just one level.
Okay. So I'm posting a link in the chat here. So Nick asked a very good question. So Hans, if you can like scroll up a little bit for me. So like if a customer today has actually click on the landing if you don't mind.
Sure.
If a customer today is using the original Viva Connections experience, which is this, so like lots of content with your dashboard to the right and feed at the bottom. Now if you'll click our little Viva icon that I learned about last week to go back to the I didn't know how to get back to Viva Home. So now I know. So like this feature is being enabled by default. So I'm posting a link in the chat. So if you would like to avoid this rolling out to your users overnight by default, which I imagine most and/or all customers would want to do, there's a PowerShell you can run, and you can run it now. Like you don't have to wait for it to roll out and then have people freak out and then run the PowerShell. Like this property that sets the experience, you can disable it until you're ready for Viva Home. So I'm posting the article. The article has the PowerShell command that you need to run. If you're a business person and you don't know what PowerShell is and you think I'm talking technical mumbo jumbo, talk to your IT admin or Microsoft 365 admin. They'll hook you up. They'll get it taken care of. So I'm sharing the article. So it's obviously been a hot topic inside our teams at Microsoft. We have varying opinions, but like most importantly, understand what's coming, decide when the right time is for Viva Home if you like that experience, and then re-enable it when you're ready. Most of us prefer a little bit of adoption and change management communication so that our employees have a smooth experience. Also, so the help desk doesn't get a bunch of calls and angry people, because then they yell at you and you yell at us. So nobody wants that. And we're recording, so I'm probably gonna get in trouble, but that's okay. And to be fair, it is in the message center. We have blog posts, it's out there, but I will be the first to admit that I have unread messages in various places. So your Microsoft 365 admins may also be behind on their inbox.
So I just posted the article.
You pasted it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Actually, I was searching for it in front of them to try to have like this subliminal message that you can go to Message Center, search for home in it, okay, and then you will see something related to home experience, and then you can click on it, and then you have all the information that you can have. Just Paul.
Hey, I think you may have covered it, and maybe I absorbed it, maybe I didn't, but I'm trying to just confirm. When on the Viva the Viva Connections homepage, as you were just covering there, we actually already submitted and rolled back to the prior version of it. But the Learning Insights and Engage navigation components, today in our environment, we're only utilizing Insights. Learning and Engage we haven't rolled out yet. Is there a way to just hide those two elements from that navigation so that we could utilize the new experience while not exposing Learning and Engage to our user base?
Yeah, it's just licensing. So if you can remove the license, but the only thing I don't know is like
No, but
what's possible if you have like a suite license, then, but you're talking about seated?
No, they don't just want to hide in the rail.
Correct.
Those two apps in order to
not the
leverage
apps,
the Viva Connections home, because they have all already there. So you don't have to, as you said before, to use the whole rail. So my guess, it will be depends. First, because if a user by themselves pin the app themselves, then I don't think it's easy to hide it. But if it has been created, those pin apps, because of a setup policy, then yes, you can go to the setup policy and remove those apps.
Sorry, to clarify, Hans, not the apps themselves, but in that navigation ribbon
the rail,
that you showed. Yeah, are we able to?
So are you talking about the left rail or Viva Home?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm using Viva Home.
Okay, so he's talking about the Viva Home, not
in the Viva Home.
Can you bring Viva Home back up?
Where was I? Where's my camera? Where's my camera? Here.
It's okay.
There, right there. Yep.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the only thing I don't know, and I think it's a good question for me to like pursue today, is like Learning and Insights and Engage. They're all like they have seated, right? Like, and so when we say seated, we mean like included with your Microsoft 365 license. You know, we all have internal weird language, but anyway, so what that means is like it's license based, but if it's part of your Microsoft 365 license, the question is, could you hide the link to like Insights, for example, if you weren't ready to support that as I will take that as a question and I will find out. I had that question before and forgot to follow up, but I think that's a interesting conundrum, because even it's not a licensing thing, right? It's just how much do I deliver to my organization at once, because you have to be able to support it, train people, and go through all of that. So I think that's an excellent question, and I will do my best to get an answer, even if it's one I don't like, by the next time we meet.
Thank you.
And then if I get one I don't like, then we'll start the noise to maybe get that addressed. Oh, all great questions. Oh, yes, the blog post.
Do you want to share your screen?
I don't want to share my screen.
Okay.
I am posting a link in the chat. Okay. So yesterday we had our big announcement for Viva Engage. And so this will be, if you would like to do some pre-reading to be ahead of the class, so to speak, for next week's session on Viva Engage, that is yesterday's announcement. So for clarity, there is absolutely zero impact to any Yammer or Viva Engage capability that you've been using to date. So no, nothing's being removed from what you have access to, but we have made new features generally available. And some of those features are part of like a premium license experience. So you would need like a Viva Suite license or another type of license to use these features. Yeah, so like we know, so we had a lot of customer feedback about this. So like this is very important for us as the customer success side, that we don't call the same service two different things. So we're all very happy. It'll take a while for all of these changes to happen. I will say, Hans, if you can scroll, there's a section on that page that talks about the timeline. Just because we had a customer share some concerns yesterday. Oh, go down, scroll down. I saw it. So it has some information on the timing of this. So you're going to start seeing a little bit more. You're going to start seeing notifications within the various Yammer apps. Looking ahead, scroll down a little bit more.
This part.
I don't see it. Hold on. Anyway, it talks about the dates when it's actually going to appear in your apps, but starting in so starting next month, the existing communities app and Outlook is going to show, you know, the Viva Engage brand. Also next month, the Yammer apps for iOS and Android will be updated. So
the iOS is here.
Yeah, so you're going to start seeing those changes. So just from if you're on the change management and adoption side, letting your employees know that this is coming is, you know, a good thing to throw if you have any newsletters or updates that you do from a just general modern work or Microsoft 365 or IT perspective. It might be good to say, hey, by the way, the name of this is changing, so that you don't get a lot of questions and calls and emails. Once again, noise reduction. So, but yeah, I'll have kind of the timeline for this when we cover Viva Engage next week, because I know that's going to be an important topic. And at least we can call it one thing. But I did point out that Viva Engage has twice as many syllables as Yammer. Any other questions? I think we are at time. Thank you, Hans, for presenting. This has been fantastic. And thank you, everybody, for attending. Come next week with your Viva Engage questions. I will remind you that one of the slides that Hans showed previously, we have a number of programs to help you. So you don't have to wait until week 4. If there's things that you want to move forward with on Viva Connections, reach out to your customer success manager or your CSAM or customer success account manager. Either of those people can help get you connected to us and like to any of the programs that we have that can help you get your questions answered, maybe provide you some support in like learning how to build adaptive cards or answering questions about Viva Home. But like, you know, absolutely, you don't need to wait for 2 more weeks to ask for help. So we are here. And yeah, so the recording from last